In just 9 minutes, uncover the most explosive insights from Ezra Klein's conversation with Pulitzer-winning journalist Tom Friedman. Discover China's secret weapon no one's talking about, how America got humiliated in this trade war, and Washington's pathetic China strategy exposed. These 10 game-changing takeaways dive deep into U.S.-China tensions, tech dominance, Trump's trade failures, and the future of global power. Takeaway 1. America's China view is dangerously outdated. The American government still looks at China as if it is the country it was in the 1980s or the early 2000s. Back then, China was a cheap manufacturing base for low-tech goods, dependent on American know-how. That is no longer true. Tom Friedman explains that China is no longer copying America. It is innovating faster in many areas like artificial intelligence, green energy, and electric vehicles. The old Washington narrative frames China as only a threat, without understanding its real strengths and weaknesses today. This oversimplified approach creates dangerous policies. Friedman points out that China is not just a competitor. It is a complex system that has moments of brilliance and moments of overreach, just like the United States. For example, in Shenzhen, entire factories now run with almost no workers. These dark factories are fully automated, producing goods faster and cheaper than American factories ever could. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 2, Trump's circus strategy is backfiring badly. Trump's trade war was meant to punish China and bring jobs back to America. Instead, it turned into chaos without any real plan behind it. The tariffs raised costs for American companies and consumers without fixing the deeper problems of U.S. industry. Trump's team believed they could bully China into submission, but they underestimated how much China had already advanced. Friedman says, "Hire clowns, expect a circus." This trade war is exactly that: messy, pointless, and ultimately self-defeating. The U.S. alienated its allies by acting unilaterally instead of building a global coalition to pressure China together. For example, American farmers got crushed by China's counter tariffs. Soybean exports to China dropped massively, and many farms in the Midwest suffered heavy losses. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 3, China's tech sector is pulling ahead. China is now ahead of America in critical technology areas like artificial intelligence, green tech, and advanced manufacturing. Friedman saw firsthand how Chinese cities run facial recognition systems, smart traffic grids, and AI-driven logistics better than anything in the U.S. Chinese companies dominate battery production and electric vehicle development, leaving American car makers scrambling to catch up. The government supports this with huge investments in universities, infrastructure, and startups, something America has stopped doing at scale. For example, BYD, a Chinese electric vehicle maker, now sells more electric cars than Tesla in China and is rapidly expanding overseas. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 4. America is losing its manufacturing soul. While China doubles down on producing high-value goods, America has gutted its industrial base. Friedman argues that the U.S. became addicted to cheap imports and stopped investing in its factories, machines, and workers. This leaves America vulnerable, especially in industries tied to national security like semiconductors and clean energy. Even when companies want to reshore manufacturing, they struggle because the skills, suppliers, and infrastructure no longer exist here. For example, the U.S. once made most of its own solar panels. Now more than 70% of them come from China, even though solar technology was originally pioneered in America. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 5. Washington is clueless about modern China. The people in charge of U.S. policy often rely on outdated stereotypes about China being weak, poor, or easy to pressure. Friedman says this lazy thinking is dangerous. It blinds policymakers to how much China has changed and how much it is shaping the future. China is now building entire smart cities, electrifying its transport, and digitizing its entire economy. Meanwhile, the U.S. political system is too dysfunctional to agree on long-term strategies, stuck in short-term political fights. For example, China's high-speed rail network already covers over 24,000 miles, while the U.S. can barely finish a single line between two major cities. We're halfway through the video. Thank you for sticking with us this far. If you're enjoying it, please give us a thumbs up and share it in your WhatsApp groups. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment below. To see more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Now let's continue with the video. Takeaway 6. The trade war strategy was pure amateur hour. Friedman calls the Trump trade war a disaster because it was driven by ego, not strategy. Tariffs were slapped on without understanding global supply chains. In the end, American companies had to pay more, passing the cost to customers. China also stopped buying American goods and found new suppliers, leaving U.S. businesses stranded. Instead of forcing China to change, the trade war encouraged it to speed up its self-reliance efforts, especially in tech and energy. For example, Huawei, China's top telecom company, was banned from using Google services. Instead of collapsing, it built its own operating system and local app ecosystem. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 7. America needs a bold industrial comeback. Friedman argues that instead of playing tough guy politics, the U.S. should focus on rebuilding its industrial base. This means investing heavily in new factories, research, and worker training to compete with China in future industries. He says the U.S. should form alliances with Europe, Japan, and others to set technology standards together and prevent China from dominating them alone. The idea is not about closing off trade, but about competing smartly and making sure critical industries are not outsourced. For example, the U.S. recently passed the CHIPS Act, offering billions in subsidies to rebuild semiconductor manufacturing in America, a long overdue move. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 8. China's future is not guaranteed either. While China has made huge progress, it also faces major risks. Friedman notes that China's system can overreach, and its leaders sometimes believe their own propaganda. The country's tight censorship, top-down control, and crackdown on dissent can stifle creativity and create hidden weaknesses. China's economy is still fragile in places, loaded with debt and facing demographic decline as its population ages. For example, China's real estate sector is dangerously overleveraged. Huge companies like Evergrande have faced financial crises, exposing weaknesses in China's financial system. Now let's move to the next takeaway. Takeaway 9. U.S. and China must coexist, like it or not. Friedman believes that total decoupling between the U.S. and China is impossible. Both countries are too economically tied together. They need each other to solve global problems like climate change, pandemics, and the rules around artificial intelligence. Instead of acting like enemies, Friedman says it is time for both sides to figure out how to compete without destroying each other. Smart policy would combine areas of cooperation with areas of tough competition without reckless hostility. For example, during the COVID pandemic, supply chains for medical equipment showed how much the U.S. depends on Chinese manufacturers. Cutting those ties would hurt both countries. Now let's move to the last takeaway. Takeaway 10. The AI race will shape everything. Friedman says the race to lead artificial intelligence is one of the most important battles between the U.S. and China. AI will control everything from manufacturing to finance to war, and whoever dominates this field will shape the future. China has built massive AI research centers and integrated AI into daily life faster than the U.S. in many areas. But it is a double-edged sword. AI can tighten government control while also empowering citizens in unexpected ways. For example, in some Chinese cities, AI tracks citizens' health, financial habits, and travel patterns in real time, which has sparked debates about privacy, freedom, and surveillance everywhere. Here is a brief introduction about Tom Friedman. Tom Friedman is a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, best-selling author, and global affairs expert known for his sharp insights on geopolitics, technology, and the future of world power. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed watching this video, please hit like below and share this video in your WhatsApp groups. You can also discuss about this video by commenting below. To get more such videos in your timeline, press the subscribe button below.